This is a book that you can use in many ways. It's made on 2000 games that are practically miniatures, right? Because they are 20 moves. Generally 25 moves are miniature, 25 or less moves are miniature. And what is important of this book? Well, the importance of this book is that there are all the openings. So whatever openings you are interested in, you find it. In this case, I don't know, the Dutch defense or the Sicilian, I think, and so on. And then the importance is the diagram. The author, that obviously is a titled player that has written endless books, put the diagram in the right place. So you just watch the diagram, and watching the diagram, it means you need to find the right move in that moment. So you have like 2000 exercises here that you can do. But let's say that you want to learn the opening, you just go to that opening, watch these games, and you will probably avoid most of the mistakes that were made. Now you would say, but maybe they were low-rated players. Nope. These were all players that were above, I think, 2100. So most of the players I've seen, they are 2400, which means international master level. And yet they made a mistake. So it means that it's very important for us, a book like this. And now I will show you a couple of games because I do believe it's really an interesting book and worth watching, not only for entertainment but also for learning. So the first game I would like to show you is game 621 between Vallejo Pons, which was rated 2666, and Topalov 2804. Okay, it was played in 2006. E4, C5, knight f3, E6, D4, C takes D4, knight takes D4. So, I mean, Topalov should know the theory, right? It's not that he's a guy that doesn't know the theory. And to lose in 20 moves or less, you should really think about it, right? Knight c3, d6, g4. And remember that there is a new chess book about this g4. Okay, here it says an interesting version of a Keres attack. Knight e7. Here it would have knight f6, it says would have transposed to a regular Keres attack, but Topalov is not interested in that. So you see, in this book you also have notes by the author for each game, practically, so I believe it's worth it just for that. a3, knight bc6, knight b3, b5, h4, bishop b7, bishop f4, knight e5, bishop takes e5, d takes e5, and now there is queen takes d8, and it seems that this rook takes d8, that is something we all would play, because why would you move the king is dubious. It seems that black should have taken with the king to help the defense of the queen side. And we see it right away. Knight c5, rook b8, knight takes b7, rook takes b7. Oops, sorry, I made a mistake. Knight takes b7. Black doesn't play rook takes b7, he plays knight c6. Interesting, but why? Why did he play this? And why not rook takes b7 right away? What was the problem? Boom. Well, this is interesting, right? a4, and here black makes a blunder, that is b4. Bishop takes a6. Okay, but let's stop a second because I'm really curious about this. I don't know why the author didn't put a line, because after knight takes b7 it made sense to play this right away. Probably what I can see is this. Tack. If he takes, it starts to become probably a mess, right? Yeah, because there could be bishop takes b5, and what do you do? Yeah, okay, this is the reason. He didn't take on b7 because once he takes, the game is over. So the problem here is that the king is still in the center at move 14, and it's be a problem. Yeah, he should have probably gone on that way to protect a little that side. Now it makes sense, yeah. Okay, as you can see, sometimes you need to watch a game in order to understand what's going on. So, knight c6, a4, sorry, the position was like this, knight c6, a4, and then he played b4, that is a mistake. He tried to keep it close, obviously, and here, obviously, there is bishop takes a6, b takes c3, and now there is a good move by white, which is bishop b5. Boom. This is undoubtedly the move that Topalov had forgotten when he played b4. King d7, knight a5, c takes b2, rook d1, king c7, and knight takes c6, and here black resigned. So this was a very interesting game between Vallejo Pons and Topalov. Let's watch another one, because obviously I like these games, they are really nice. Just a second that I put the position back. Okay, now we see game 622, Karim, rated 2407, against Salgado Lopez, rated 2554 at Capella Grande in 2009. e4, c5, knight f3, e6, d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4, knight c6, knight c3. Oh, sorry, I made a mistake. It wasn't d6, it was d6, and now he played d6, g4, knight ge7, knight b3, d5, bishop e3, g6, queen f3, bishop g7, e takes d5, e takes d5, castle alongside, castle, and here there is a dubious move by white, which is knight takes d5, knight takes d5, and now there is a blunder by white, which is queen takes d5. Obviously here there is a diagram A useful thing that you could do is to put something under the diagram to avoid to see how black continues and try to guess what you would play in this position, okay, for black. This is a useful exercise to do. So how do we continue here? I don't have any idea, but this proves also another thing, that probably you need to study these games. They are not silly at all, also if they are just in 20 moves. I don't know, I think probably Queen f6 because is a try to checkmate here, or not checkmate, but obviously create a big problem with rook here. Let's see what happens. Yeah, Queen f6, very strong. Now white's position falls apart. Bishop d4, right? Yeah. Queen f4. It seems this knight takes d4 was the best. Interesting. Okay. Queen f4. Bishop e3. Queen f6. Bishop d4. Now he finally arrives at knight takes d4, rook takes d4, queen f3, queen d5, and bishop takes g4. I was thinking about the bishop g4 and let's see what happens. I'm curious at this point. Bishop g2, queen f6, attacking this, rook d4, and the rook a d8. And here black won. I hope you enjoyed this couple of games. I would like to show you a game from another chapter just for giving you a sample. However, honestly, to tell you the truth, it's really funny to read this book because you see some big names. Now the game I want to show you is game 313 between Gormley, that is a grandmaster from UK that has written various books, and Williams, that everybody knows because he's the Ginger GM. Williams is also an expert of Dutch, and yet here he loses in 19 moves. So I don't know, he played the Dutch all his life. I really don't know what happened here. It seems European Union Championship in Liverpool in 2006. Terrible. I don't know what happened to him. Bishop g5, it's a very interesting move. It happened to me in the last round of the Georgia Senior State Championship tournament. I won and became the Georgia State Senior Champion in 2018. And I was playing against this FIDE master from another state. I don't remember if it was Tennessee. The guy is a good guy, he's a good, strong guy, so he has a good repertoire, and you need to be prepared because this is not a joke. It really works well, bishop g5. So bishop h4, g5. It seems a little overextended, honestly. Yeah, because there is this e4. Yeah, I wouldn't have done that, honestly. Rook h7, ooh, queen h5, rook f7, knight f3, knight f6, queen g6. What a strange game. Knight c6, bishop takes g5, beautiful, yeah. F takes e4. But this is a really interesting game, I think, right? And knight e5. Let's knight takes e5, d takes e5. h takes g5, e takes f6, and here there is a kind of dubious move, which is e takes f6. It seems black should have played e6. Now, why? Also, if you don't know anything, you surely see this, right? So probably, maybe this is the reason. But let's see what he played. No, he played knight c3, not even bishop c4. Ah, because he wants forced to try to fight for d5, maybe. Let's see what happens. And here, yes, he plays bishop b4, but it seems that d5 was the move to play, to which there was obviously long castle. Interesting. But look at this, let's look for a second at this alternative, because this makes sense, right? Because again, the problem is here. Track, and black tries to defend again, rightly, but it's all about c4 here, eh? It's not a joke, because it's a mess here. Queen e7, bishop d3, king d8, he needs to escape, knight d6, beautiful, rook g7, knight takes e8, king takes e8, queen f5, and white has an edge in the endgame. I mean, this opening was really interesting. Now I will bring the position back to what it was, but I think this game was exciting. Also, if I don't think black played it correctly, black was clearly violating some... he was trying to prove a point, probably. But again, it's not something you like to do. And sometimes the Dutch is a problem with this thing that this rook is out of the game, and also the bishop, they are out of the game for a while, and so you are practically playing with 2 pieces less. Okay, let me bring the position back. By the way, sorry if I make you waste your time for a second, but it's interesting this d4, because generally Grandmaster Williams doesn't play f5, he says to play e6, because if you play f5 you really need to prepare for e4, g4, all the possible gambits that there are out there. But it seems that probably he didn't play e6 because he was sure that white wouldn't play those gambits, and so that's the interesting part. And now I will go back to the position we were. Okay, I think we were in this position, and black plays this move, big blunder, and obviously the alternative was d5 that we just saw. White plays queenside castle, bishop takes c3, great, and he plays bishop c4. That's interesting. That's super interesting. Yeah, bishop takes b2, king takes b2, queen e7, and now he plays h4, probably trying to open the file for continuously the attack. Again, like I mentioned before, sometimes in the Dutch this is the problem. Black is playing with 2 pieces less. I don't know when they are coming out, probably never. And so white can actually even sacrifice something, because if you are playing with 2 pieces less. But here, let's say what the author writes. He says, because of a nasty pin on the rook, black is basically left with a bunch of terrible choices. Exchanging on h4 will allow the rook into the attack, whereas not exchanging will the h-pawn to run towards h8. So, d5, bishop takes d5, queen e5 check, c3, bishop e6, oh, interesting move, and bishop takes e6, and here black resigned. Interesting, yeah, because he's cut, he has really a lot of problems. And then there is this. Okay, look that in reality I found another game that I would like to show you, because it's game 314 between Susan Polgar 2530 and Salov 2655, played in Madrid 1992. Wow! Practically this game is between two very famous grandmasters, and let's see what happens, because Susan Polgar loses badly, so I really want to see how it's possible that someone beats Susan Polgar in 18 moves. Knight c3, d5. Oh my god, this is interesting, because he's trying what? The stone wall. e3, e6, knight f3, bishop e7, bishop d3. Sorry, I made a mistake. We need to go back a couple of moves, I think. Yeah, 3 e6, knight f3, bishop e7, bishop d3. Where did he play? After bishop f4. Sorry, let's go back a couple of moves. Let's go back. Okay, let's go back from the beginning, because I want to see it. d4, f5, knight c3, d5, bishop f4. Here the moves I miss: knight f6, e3, e6, knight f3, bishop e7, bishop d3, castle. So this is practically a stone wall. Okay, h3, knight e4, knight e2, c5. This is not a stone wall anymore. This seems like a London now. It's not a Dutch. And strangely, this is given as a Dutch. It looks like a London. Okay, c5, c3, knight c6, knight e5, bishop d6, and here there is a mistake, f3. She was trying to get rid of that knight in the outpost. So try to pause here the video, you are black, and see what you would play as black. Okay? Black played c takes d4, knight takes c6, that is another mistake, queen h4, g3, knight takes g3, bishop takes g3, bishop takes g3, king f1, b takes c6, c takes d4, and here there is f4, knight takes g3, queen takes g3, and here there is e4 and e5, and white resigned. Okay, I was really curious to see this game, because practically this is by move 18. Susan Polgar has lost. That's kind of interesting, right? Probably there is this check, and now it becomes a problem, right? Yeah. What could white do practically? Because the problem is that this is protecting this. So that's interesting. Yeah. Wow, what a beautiful game. Again, these games are amazing, because there are some very famous names that lose in less than 20 moves, so oh my god, it's incredible. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this modern miniatures. It's clearly a book that is interesting at an entertainment level, because just to see our heroes to lose so badly, like in this case Susan Polgar or Grandmaster Williams, that is a nice guy. I don't know, it's very funny. I hope you will enjoy the book.